Escape from the galaxy, breaking free of the gravity of Star Wars. Star Wars. Where does one even begin with this overhyped galactic tale of good versus evil, heroes versus villains, rebels versus empire? I'll tell you where. Snoozeville. Let's time warp back to 1977, shall we? Disco was all the rage, Jimmy Carter was president, and apparently cinema had become so mind-numbingly dull that when some little space opera flick came along, people lost their ever-loving minds as if they'd never seen special effects or outer space before. So what's the big deal with Star Wars anyway? Some whiny farm boy named Luke Skywalker who dreams of adventure gets swept up into an intergalactic civil war, learns he has magic powers, and goes pew 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 with a laser sword called a lightsaber. Along the way he's joined by a sarcastic pilot named Han Solo, a hairy Wookiee co-pilot named Chewbacca who communicates solely in grunts and roars, and two bumbling robots named C-3PO and R2-D2, who seem to exist solely for comic relief and merchandising purposes. Riveting. The story is a hodgepodge of cliches and archetypes borrowed from sci-fi serials, westerns, and samurai films. George Lucas basically took every element he could think of that 11-year-old boys might find cool and threw them in a blender on puree. Spaceships, lasers, robot sidekicks, shootouts, rescues, explosions. It's less of a film than a scrapbook of gee-whiz moments held together by the flimsiest of narratives. And don't even get me started on the atrocious dialogue that sounds like it was written by a third grader on a sugar high. Use the Force, Luke. Pass. Visually speaking, sure, it was groundbreaking for the time, but compare the special effects to today's standards and suddenly the Death Star looks about as ominous as a disco ball. The lightsaber battles have all the grace and skill of two kids swinging broomsticks in the backyard, and Darth Vader's heavy breathing echoes through scenes like a creepy phone call from an obscene caller. Acting-wise, Harrison Ford seems to be the only one aware he's in a campy space opera, refusing to take any of it too seriously. The rest of the cast utter Lucas's leaden dialogue with all the gravitas of community theater actors struggling mightily to make it work. But alas, when your script sounds like refrigerator magnet poetry, no amount of thespian effort can save it. Were audiences in 1977 really so starved for escapist fantasy, they'd overlook shoddy writing, cardboard characters, and schlocky dialogue just for some gee-whiz special effects and the novelty of a lived-in sci-fi world? Apparently so, as Star Wars became the highest-grossing film of all time, spawned a multi-billion-dollar franchise and wormed its way firmly into popular culture like some virulent intergalactic virus. Well, not me, bub. I prefer science fiction with a brain, not just retina candy. So if you're looking for a thoughtful exploration of the hero's journey or coming-of-age tale, looks elsewhere. But if your inner 11-year-old is a diehard Star Wars nerd, by all means enjoy this campy, bombastic entry in the sci-fi pulp canon. May the farce be with you.